Hey everybody, I'm Ryan and this is my friend Shaun here, and we are the Natural Gamers. This will be Shaun's top 5 of his favorite characters.
This is my favorite game characters, and so I guess we'll just get started.
Yeah.
Might as well, right? These are not in any particular order, really, except for probably the first one. Like my number one is probably, that is my number one. The rest of them aren't really in any particular order. So I guess the first one one of my favorites is probably Duke Nukem, actually. Just because he's an amalgamation of like every action movie star in the past like 20 years. I mean, even his dialogue, it's all taken from, you know, those from 80s and early 90s action flicks. And it's just, and I kind of enjoy that. I enjoy like the cheesy nature of him, and just like his, you know, that he is the stereotypical action star, badass, walks around, never really gets hurt, you know, always has a smile, always has something smart ass to say, smokes cigars, and
Getting ladies.
Getting the ladies.
No, I mean, Duke Nukem's on, I mean, I'm not really from Duke Nukem's time, other than Duke Nukem Forever, which
doesn't count.
Which doesn't count. But so like, does he have any kind of a personality? He's just like, I don't give a fuck kind of thing? He's just,
that's his person.
I'm Duke Nukem, and
that's his personality.
Yeah.
He's very egotistical.
So,
I'm Duke Nukem. That's like, that is pretty much sums his personality up. All right, my second one, or my number 4, I guess, I don't know, is Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog just is one of the earliest games I remember, probably after Mario. Like, I played Mario and everything like that, but that really left an impression. It, like, really got me into, as a child, like, really liking video games, because I was right at that right age when like Sonic, especially Sonic 2 came out. I remember I got it for Christmas when it first came out.
Sonic 2?
Yeah, I got Sonic 2 because Sonic 1 came with the Genesis, so we already had it.
Okay.
But like, you know, that's what kind of made me like get into games and wanted to play more games. It was the first one I think I got really good at, and like I really enjoyed quite a bit. Like, as far as his character and everything goes, like he's Sonic, you know. He's this fun-loving, freeing animals from Dr. Robotnik, you know.
Super fast hedgehog.
Super fast hedgehog who's got always, like, if you go back to the cartoons and stuff like that, you know, the Sonic the Hedgehog animated series and stuff, there's a couple of them. But there's one that was more like jokey and stuff like that, and that's kind of who actually Steve Urkel did the voice.
For Sonic?
For Sonic, yeah.
Really? I didn't know Sonic had a voice.
Yeah, well, in the cartoon shows he does.
So, Sonic, back in the days of Sega Genesis, and what was the other one? Like, how did the games back then, when first Sonic came out, compare to Sonic games now? Are they as enjoyable, or like, do you feel like...
No, I'm not,
or
like...
they kind of just...
well, I kind of skipped all, like, when Sonic went 3D, and, like, with the Dreamcast and everything. I never had a Dreamcast, and I never really cared to. Like, I played a couple... I mean, I probably played some demos and stuff at, like, a mall or something, but overall, like, I didn't really care for it. Like, it wasn't Sonic.
You felt like it went away from what Sonic was?
It went away from the mechanics of the game and what kind of made the game fun and special, you know? It's just, it's a simple game to play, and the challenge is not in, really, it's in level design, not necessarily, like, having shitty controls, which is kind of what, like, the newer Sonics were like, as far as I know, anyways. My next one is probably Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. You know, he's the reluctant hero, you know. I mean, that's another example of that. Kind of like in the same way Solid Snake is, he becomes a hero because of the circumstances he's in, and it's just kind of a fun, like, really awesome epic adventure that he goes on, and of discovery, and it's just really well written, actually. I mean, Final Fantasy VII, which is a very popular game, and it was the first game that got me into, like, RPGs, actually. It kind of got me into the more, like, modern gaming, you know? Like, that's what really, I started really getting into it, and, like, after Final Fantasy VII came out, and I remember, like, saving up all my money and blowing it on that game, and playing it so many times. That I've played, it's probably the second most I've played a game in my entire life, like, as far as times played through and stuff. I don't know, just the whole game, the whole experience just, like, left a real, like, mark on me and my tastes. It really, like, kind of informed what my tastes in video games were. at the time. So that's why I picked
This
Cloud.
Cloud, out of all the Final Fantasies you played, would be 7 through 12, or you played 13 or
Well, I've played some of the older ones
but,
too.
you have? Okay, so
Yeah.
do you think he's like the most, he's the best character, like the most, like, in your opinion? Obviously he's on your top, so I guess he'd be your favorite
he's
Final Fantasy character.
Yeah, actually, as far as a protagonist goes in those games, like he's probably my favorite of the Final Fantasy VII games. I mean, he has a lot of they all like all the protagonists of those games have similarities, you know, and they're all kind of whiny and they're lost and they don't know where they're going in life and blah blah blah. But I think Cloud's is the least like offensive, almost like the least annoying, like out of all of them. Like he's probably the most well written out of them. And the reason I picked Cloud is more just a lasting impression of that game that it left on me. Like, you know, that's what it was, more or less. All right, well, that's enough about Cloud. Let's go to the next one. My next one is Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, which was a game I played when it first came out. Like, I remember me and my dad, like, that's one of the first, like, 3D kind of, like, puzzle-solving type games that was also action-oriented. That started a whole new genre, like a whole new wave of games and what you could do with video games. It kind of like broke the mold when it first came out. I mean, yeah, my dad and me, like we just played it for hours and hours and hours, and her character is it's a lot of fun. She's a stereotype and everything like that. She's a sexist stereotype, you know, this big boobed, short wearing female explorer that, you know. But like at the end of the day though, she is very memorable. She's very iconic.
She's very good at what she does.
Yeah, I mean she's the cross between James Bond and Indiana Jones in female form. I mean that's kind of what she is.
With all the good looks.
Yeah.
Both those
and
characters.
she looks kind of like Angelina Jolie. Yeah. She was cast and she was probably the right person to be cast in my opinion. But like, you know, she's iconic, and it's something I'll never forget about Lara Croft. Like, especially what it meant to me at the time when that game came out. Like, I was really young, and like, yeah, she's an attractive like female character and everything, but I didn't really care about that. Like, I really didn't. Like, the game was so good that their initials trying to sell you like a sexual icon type figure kind of gets washed away in the actual gameplay. Once you started playing the game, you didn't care anymore about like her big boobs or anything, her big triangle boobs.
Until you notice them again. And Lara Croft is probably smarter than Nathan Drake in the whole puzzle solving thing, because there aren't many puzzles in Uncharted compared to like, it's kind of the same kind of game.
Well, yeah,
they're
different kind of. I mean,
but she's smarter. Like, what I'm saying is she's smarter than what Nathan Drake would be, and her puzzles that she solves.
She's smarter because she's written to be smarter. But I mean, the type of puzzles they're different. Like they're more like run here, flip this switch, bring this cog over here, like type of things.
You have 5 seconds to
match up the right symbols and stuff like that. Nathan Drake is more or less just flipping switches in that game. But it is definitely the evolution from Tomb Raider. It's the modern Tomb Raider. And my number one, which is the same one Ryan's number one was, Solid Snake. Like that game also. Like I remember when that game first came out and being like so excited and so into it. And I think other than Final Fantasy VII, I have played through that game more times than I care to admit. I really have. And I watched all the cutscenes, because if you had beaten the game, you could just watch the cutscenes. I mean, I used to watch them all the time. And I just love Solid Snake, you know, from the get-go. I just was like totally into that character. He's just like everything we talked about before on yours, like on your top 5. That's how I feel about him. Like, he's just an incredibly well-written, well-rounded personality. And, you know, and I'm kind of bummed. I hope that, you know, that he shows up again somewhere in his own new storyline. Maybe he's not dead. You don't know. You don't know, man.
Well, they didn't say it was.
It cuts to black. It cuts to black at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4. You don't know if he's dead or not. So, I don't know. But, anyways, that was my top 5. And you've heard mine and Ryan's. So what are your top 5, like, video game characters, and, you know, why did you pick them? Like, why, you know, what made them memorable to you? For me, it was mostly because of the impression that the overall games had left on me. They kind of informed my taste in video games and kind of got me into video games, like, even more than I was before I had played them. So that's why, like, those are the ones that I picked. That's why I picked
mine
them.
Was off of badassery. Not just because the games were good. All those games were pretty awesome, but there's most of the badassery. And how, you know, how they deal with things and how they get through things and how they show up in the end. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
How characters change in video games. Video games are awesome.
Well, anyways, that's gonna do it for us. So I'm Shaun.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're the Natural Gamers, and we will talk to you next time. We have something to talk about, which will probably be soon.
Always soon.
Always soon.
So.